Welcome back to Go Full Amazon. This is Tara speaking.
Hi, this is Jen.
We hope you enjoyed our last episode. We have a few updates for you. We actually do have an Instagram page now, and we want you to go follow us now at Go Full Amazon. Secondly, we were going to talk about pelvic floor health, and we will, but we really want to talk about the open, starting with 18.1. Sorry.
18.1. Oh, boy. So those of us, or those of you that don't really know what we're talking about with the open, I think we should probably clarify that, and what the open is in the CrossFit world. It is a worldwide competition that comes out once a week, and you register for it, and you're able to compete against others in your age group, across the country, across the world, in your state. And there's a new workout that's released every Thursday, and you have until Monday to be able to post your scores and your results. So we are now week 3 into the open.
Right. And you know what? One of the things I want to talk about was this is my first year doing it, and it's your second year doing it. And I really love it. Like I thought I was going to be intimidated, because I was intimidated when I first began CrossFit, because you see these videos on Instagram or Facebook, and you see these people doing these crazy moves that you've never seen before. But really, it's this great community of people that are super supportive and want you to succeed, and they don't want you to get hurt. I think there's this nasty rumor that CrossFit is a cult and that we all drink some crazy red juice and become insane. And it's not like that at all. That's not how I found it to be. I really enjoy going, and I feel like the people there want you to learn how to do the exercises correctly.
Yep.
And then they also want you to succeed. Like it doesn't matter. Like if it's your first pull-up, that's progress.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm really liking about this.
Well, I have to say that's what's been really good for me too. I did my first open last year, and I literally had just started CrossFit in the November before it, and it's every March. So, and I only started to do CrossFit because my son was playing soccer right by the local CrossFit place, and I was still in school, and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? He was playing soccer like 2 days a week for like 3 hours at a time, and I'm like, I can't go to TJ Maxx anymore, and I can't go to Stop and Shop more than I already do. So I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with myself? So of course I find a gym and I work out more.
And nobody wants to watch their kids practice anymore.
Who wants to watch the kids practice 3 hours of soccer? So I'm like, oh, there's a CrossFit right across the street from where he's doing soccer practice. So I'm like, this is perfect. So yeah, being the meathead that I am, I joined, and I was like, this is fun. And so the open happened right after, like pretty much after that happened, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what the heck even the open was. And there was times where I walked into the open workout, and I didn't even know what the move was. Like there was a snatch in 17. One of the 17s last year, and I literally, like 5 seconds before the open even started, I was like, what's a snatch? Besides my own. I didn't know.
Is it okay to show my snatch?
Am I doing something with my snatch? So that's appropriate, because it's usually not. So I wanted to, like, I just didn't know what it was, and it was funny because I was actually doing a snatch workout. It's funny to say. I was doing workout with the snatches in it this week, and I was telling my coach at my gym, and I was like, do you remember when I walked into the open and I had no idea what this move was, and now I was able to do it and able to do it well. And so I think that what I love about this is, we talked about my competitive side last episode, and it really allows that competitive side to kind of flourish and grow, and it lets me also see that, like, last year I couldn't do a pull-up, and this year I can do plenty, and last year I couldn't do a snatch, and now I can do them. And it just allows me to kind of stay, like, engaged in my process.
I think I like that too, because I played team sports, and I played in college basketball, and I think that's been missing in my life for so long. And you kind of got me interested into that game. Like, again, once when I started Manic, I was watching you from afar, not creepily, maybe a little creepily, but I was like, oh, I want to be like her again. And she's competitive, and I like that. And then you were also engaging and almost like you wanted me on your team.
Yeah.
And so I ended up joining CrossFit shortly after that because I was inspired by you.
Yeah.
And then what I found through CrossFit is this team mentality of people getting together, doing the same workout, and if you finish first, you're clapping for your other teammates that are trying to get through this workout. and I love it.
Yeah. And I think that was not that like I was missing something like that, because Manic is the other gym that we go to, and I don't ever want to discount like the value that we have there, because I think that like, I know where I'm really strong and what I'm really good at is because I have this fierce engine. And this fierce engine means that my cardiovascular is like unbelievable. And I think that I'm so successful in what I do with CrossFit because I have this engine and I can just keep going. And I get that from Manic. And my body is longer and leaner, and I don't have the big muscles that you can get from, some people can get that from CrossFit. But I also know what I was missing from Manic, I get from CrossFit, like that big overhead lifting and that big, deadlift stuff. I mean, at Manic, it is a very fast paced, cardiovascular, high intensity, still using dumbbells, still using slam balls, still using wall balls, like all the stuff that we kind of do, but we just don't have any of the slower, big Olympic movements that you get at CrossFit. And for me, I like that. I like the way my body changed. You know what I mean? I liked feeling strong, and I liked being able to lift some of that big heavy stuff, which I like. But I also like the engine that I get from Manic, if that makes sense.
I think both of them are complementary, and actually I didn't mean to sound like I was dissing Manic. I wasn't. But I do think the one thing that is missing is that we don't have that cheering on someone else. I think it's very easy when I'm there, at least, to get wrapped up in my own head and what I'm doing, and I'm not thinking about what other people are doing.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think that's very valid. Yeah. I think they both, but I like the compliment. I think they still complement each other very well.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Open.
18.1.
18.1. I think we both did really well with 18.1. 18.1, 18.1, I think strategically lets people think that they'll be all right.
Yeah. It kind of sucks you into the mindset that, oh, this is easy. Like, I can do this. Anybody can do this.
This will be fine. So it really was. And I think we all were very strong. Like, those are wheelhouse movements for us. I think it was like, there's a rower, there was toes to bar, and there was dumbbell, like, overhead presses.
Yes.
Basically is what it was. And you and I mean, those are things that we're lucky to be really good at. So I felt like that was a good one.
And I think that's where Manic actually helped us, because that seemed to be a more of a cardiovascular based workout, and us working out at Manic, we get that high intensity interval training every day that we go there.
Yeah.
And I think that helped in that particular workout.
Yeah. And then 18.2. Oh,
the struggle.
It was a struggle bus. Like 18.2 was a dose of humble pie for myself. Like, I know for me, I was very disappointed in how I performed in 18.2. And I was surprised because, again, it was one of those ones where I thought like my wheelhouse and my engine would really get me through it. And the first time I did it, I was very disappointed in how I performed.
So let's talk about what 18.2 was. What the workout was.
Yeah, so 18.2 was squats. So dumbbell squats. So we had 35-pound dumbbells on our shoulders and we squatted. And then we had to do burpees. And the rep scheme with that was 1 to 10. So you did 1, and then you did 1 of each, and then you did 2 of each, and then you did 3 of each. So you went back and forth and did this rep scheme like that.
It was more of an ascending ladder. So the first couple rounds, when you're at 1 and 2 and 3, you're kind of
flying.
like, you're like, this is okay. I can do this.
Yeah. And then you get to 7 and you're like, holy shit. I've already done all the reps, and now I have to do almost the same amount for 8, 9, and 10.
Right.
Like, and it's just.
And there was a 12-minute cap.
There's a 12-minute
And then if you finish before the 12 minutes, the second part of the workout was you had to do a 1-rep max of a hang clean.
A hang clean.
Or power clean. I'm sorry. I'm staying corrected.
Yeah, power clean. Yeah, so you had to clean whatever you could get to, basically. So for me, I started struggling with the burpees. So there was a new burpee standard that came out, and for some reason I could not wrap my head around how to actually get both my feet down for the burpees. So the minute I started getting no reps, which I got 20 no reps in the first time I tried it, I was just in my head. I went to a dark place in my head. I just got frustrated. I was in a rabbit hole of just getting frustrated with myself, and I couldn't get out of it.
As a bystander to that workout, I could actually see you start to mentally unravel. And I think as athletes, we've all done that at some point. And actually, not even an athlete. I think we do that sometimes in our daily life.
Yeah.
One thing goes wrong and the next thing goes wrong, and you just start to spiral that your whole life is out of control.
Yeah.
And it kind of is one of those things where you have to learn to get back up and just recover.
Well, you saw my
and do
response.
it. Right.
Yeah. Well, my response to that workout, I cried. I cried over a workout. I am a grown ass woman that cried over a workout. And you were looking at me like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. I just can't stop crying. But what it was that exactly that. Like I was putting so much value for some reason into that workout, and I wasn't rational in like what was really the reality. Because the reality is that like I finished the workout, I got to the cleans, I still lifted a pretty heavy amount in the cleans, but it wasn't what I expected of myself. So I somehow had this like idea of what I wanted to do, and because I didn't make that, like I was somehow wicked disappointed, and I couldn't get over it, and so I cried, and then we went and ate donuts,
Allie's Donuts,
and it was delicious.
That was delicious.
It was delicious, but it was good. Like I think that I have to remember though too is like I know this about myself is that I can take something like that and in a twisted way almost make that like kind of like I'm failing in all areas. Like if I this is what I can do for myself.
Right.
But I know that that's not true, and I know that's not rational.
Why do you think you placed so much value into that workout?
It wasn't the workout. It was more the fact that I wasn't able to do the workout like I wanted to. So it really wasn't actually about the workout. It was just that I know what I'm capable of, and when I don't actually hit that or I don't make that happen, I get disappointed in myself. And it's myself. I don't care what anybody else is doing because I'm able to cheer for you, and you had an awesome 18.2 in your second round. Like your second redo with me, you killed it. And I was able to like really embrace that for you. But for me, like I was like in a rabbit hole of like suckiness.
So I have to tell you the funny part of this story, which we haven't gotten to yet, is I had already done the workout once. I had done it the night it was released. And I think I finished the first part of the workout in something like 10 minutes and change. And then I did my 1 rep max of a power clean at 95 pounds. And I told Jen, and she was like, her first response was, why did that suck? Why was your number so low? And I was like,
Why did you suck at that?
I was kind of excited that I actually just finished under the time cap. But that's one of the things I love about you, because sometimes I just settle and don't push myself out of my comfort zone, and you actually do that for me. Like you're kind of like, no, you're better than that, and you push me to the next level.
In my charm, it's a part of my charm when I'm like, why did you suck at that?
So then the second time I went into it, I had gone with Jen, and I did kill it. I just paced myself, and I took some new tips about how to hold the dumbbells correctly, and just that difference alone, and not looking at the time, I was able to get through the workout. And then I just kind of went into beast mode with the power clean.
I think you grunted a lot.
I grunted a lot.
Scary kind of grunting. I was like, what is happening to her? I'm crying still.
I know. My daughter and my youngest son were there, and they looked a little intimidated.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd ever seen that aspect of me.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
But I think, and it's funny because I had never lifted more than 105 on a clean, and then I think I did 125 pounds, and it I believe it sheer came from that grunt.
Yeah. And I think that is, again, I always like to tie what we do in the fitness world to like how we like do everything in our lives, and I think what I love about the Open and that kind of stuff is that like that's how we do life. Like I think it's important that we do life, that like the minute that you think you can't do something, like put a little grunt into it, put a little work into it, and like things happen. And I think that is the part that's really kind of cool that we take away, and even on our way home after we ate donuts, because I was clearly needing some emotional fix. I had to stuff my feelings with a donut, and it was delicious. I think I ate it in 3 bites. You were really able to help me get out of that dark hole that I was in. Again, we were able to celebrate how awesome you did. And then the funny part about it was, remember, my son called me on the way home, and he'd been playing in a basketball tournament, and they lost their like championship game. And I had to say to him the words that I was incapable of saying to myself. Like I had to say to him, honey, you gave it your best. Like you did the best you could do. And sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it doesn't go very well. And like, as I said those words to him, like you were able, when I hung up the phone with him, you were able to say, listen to what you just said to him. Like, can you say that to yourself? And it's funny, like when we talk about like the words that we say to ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, like it's so important to be kind, and I was incapable of that. I was able to get over it pretty quickly thanks to your help and our conversation on the way home, but I was able to get over that. And then what happened was I redid the workout, the next day, after doing manic at 6 a.m. and then working a full day at the hospital and then going pretty much at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I did beat my time by a minute and a half. I didn't have one no rep, and I was able to like put on, I think, another 15 or 20 pounds on my clean.
And, you know,
Craziness.
I think, right. And I think there's a couple of concepts that come out of this. One, I think the importance of what happened to you in that workout is extremely relevant, because I think we see women and men do that to ourselves all the time, where we, as soon as something goes wrong in our life or with ourselves, we are very quick to criticize ourselves and put ourselves down and have that self-deprecating humor. And really, it doesn't do anything for us. You really have to learn how to change how you would talk to yourself, because, again, when you see other people going through the same thing, we would never say the things that we say to ourselves to other people. I would, you know, and I know you love other people like wholeheartedly, but you were so down on yourself, and it hurt me to see you go through that, because I know how great you are.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to see you go through that. So I think it's interesting, like, why do we do that to ourselves?
And the reaction tends to be disproportionate to the situation.
Right.
Because again, like, I did really well. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I did pretty well in the workout. I finished it. I was able to get to the clean. Some people couldn't even make it to the cleans. Like, my reaction sometimes is very disproportionate to the situation. And I have to look at that and be like, that doesn't, you know, that is not okay. Right.
And why do we talk to ourselves that way? And usually, I think, you know, you and I are doing this online mindset module, and it talks about how we're all born out of love. And the only reason we learn negativity is through peers, outside people that are having fear. And that's usually, it makes sense in my life that fear is usually the causative factor as to why we say negative things about ourselves. Right. I think I talked about that example where, you know, someone whose father has left them, the negative mindset is going to say, oh, well, my dad left because he doesn't love me, and really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with that person was incapable of being in that situation. Right. So it's about them. But then we translate those fearful mindsets and we add it to other things going on in our life. Yeah. You know, every time, you know, you don't get a job, it's like, oh, well, it's because I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough. And it might not be that at all. It just might be, this might not be the right career path for you.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because, you know, and if we talk about that, even the negative mindset, but also I know for me, like, I have high expectations of myself, you know, and I do that myself. It's not because somebody else puts them on them or puts them on me, but like, I have it for myself, which is a good thing because it allows me to be productive and it allows me to get shit done. And it allows me to, like, you know, really pull up my bootstraps and, you know, I'm a like go-getter, but it also can sting me in the ass when I can have a situation like I did in 18.2 and let's go down a rabbit hole, you know? And again, thank God I'm surrounded by women that love me and people that love me. And they're like, Jen, it's okay. Like, it's okay. You can redo it. You can do a do-over. And if you don't even do that well, like, this does not mean that you're sucking in all areas of your life.
Right. And I think the other concept that comes out of that whole situation is sometimes we have to have bad things happen to us so that we learn how to get back up.
Yeah.
And you become better than you were before. Yeah. And look what happened. You know, that's a perfect example. You know, that workout sucked for you. And then you thought about it, you analyzed it, you changed how you were going to go about conquering that workout. And then the next workout, you killed it. And you beat my score, which I was pissed because I've never beaten you.
I know. Someday you will.
I was happy for you, but silently pissed for myself.
Silently loving me. All right. So then we have now 18.3 we just did. So then 18.3, just so that we can get through the open stuff. So 18.3 was basically double unders and more double unders and double unders and more double unders. So basically we just jump roped for forever. And, you know, this one was one of those where I looked at it and then, you know, this workout was, I don't even remember all of it, but it was basically you had 14 minutes and you needed to do 2 rounds of like 100 double unders, then 20 overhead squats at 80 pounds. And then you do another 100 double unders. And then you did 12 ring muscle ups. And then you did another 100 double unders. And then you did
dumbbell snatches.
And then you did 100 double unders. And then you did bar muscle ups.
Right.
Okay. So I looked at this workout and I was like, well, this will be fast, because basically I knew I didn't have ring muscle ups. So basically the way is like you do the work until you can't do the work. And I had literally just strung double unders together like Wednesday. And the workout, like I had just done it and the workout was released on Thursday. So I was like, well, this will mind. I went into this workout being like, well, this is double under practice. Like, I'm just going to practice my double unders. And that's all I could do. Like, I was happy that I got through my first 100 double unders. And then I did my overhead squats. And then I got through my second round of double unders. So I was able to do 200 double unders, which I've never done before. And then I swung on the rings until I figured out if I was going to get a muscle up or not. Like, that was my goal.
I think the interesting thing about this workout is going back to that whole mindset thing is you had a different mindset with this workout because you already know in your head that physically you're not ready to do a ring muscle up yet. And I can't do one
So either. I was like, it's going to be fun.
So you're kind of like, all right, I'm just going to do what I can do and get through it. And you did awesome.
Yeah.
I think my biggest concern was not peeing all over the floor.
Yeah.
I think I made a post about that because I know all the women who've had babies out here will completely understand.
Yeah.
You know, most of us wear black pants. Actually, there was a lot of women wearing black pants for this workout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a struggle.
I actually told my coach, I was like, if you see a puddle of piss below me, just avert your eyes. Don't look at me.
I think that there was a lot of posting. I saw a lot of things on Instagram being like, you know, get the mops and the buckets out and stuff like that because of all the double unders, you know, and it was really interesting too, because I didn't realize how, like this one wrecked me. Like I was physically wrecked from this workout, you know, and I did it twice. The second time I got better, you know, and I did a better time, but I still was really slow. And it was humbling to be that slow. It was humbling to like have to be like, okay, there's 4, okay, there's 5, okay, there's 6. I think I got maybe 20 strung together the first time. But for me, again, I had never strung them together. You know, I just got it like 3 days before the Open, which again, that's what the Open is so cool about.
Well, I think the Open's also great because, you know, just like you said, you're just learning this new skill, but it's also like a chance to learn what your weaknesses are. And now it's like, now you're already thinking about what your goals for this upcoming year after the Open are. Because let's face it, none of us are going to regionals or anything like that, or the Olympic
No, and I don't think you have to do that. And I think if we correlate to this to big picture, you know, I mean, I know that we talk a lot about fitness and working out, but I always want to make it about like the bigger picture, you know, because that's exactly what we want to do in our lives. Like that's that whole goalful Amazon mindset that we wanted to do with this podcast, and what we wanted to do in our lives is that like we take a goal and we look at it and we find a way, you know, we find a way. And whether that is to get our first ring muscle up, because now you, of course, downloaded every single like strategy and process to get it there, because you're like the planner. You're like, okay, I researched it. I looked at. I know I'm the scientist, but you're like, let's, you know, we're both scientists, really. It's like, you know, let's like do the research. Let's get the program. Here's the step-by-step guidance. We're gonna do it. I'm like, okay. And me, I'm like, I'll just swing on the rings and see what happens.
I know. I think my family gets sick of me because I have my planner that has all my little lists on there, and then I love crossing off every little thing I do, because then it makes me feel so much more accomplished.
Yeah. And I'm definitely more like, let's just like swing in the rings and see what happens. Like, you know, I'm way more like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Like
no, I'm very cerebral and nerdy. I want to learn everything on how to do it and how to progress.
Yeah. I can see where Wyatt gets it from now.
Yeah. We used to always joke that when he was in the womb, he was like writing equations on the inside of my belly.
He is. When we were in the car the other day, Wyatt, this is Tara's youngest one, he was like talking about the strings in his socks.
He's very cerebral as well.
He is. He's like the cutest. He's the cutest thing in the entire world. And then there's mine, who's a total meathead, and he's like, "Can we just go smash some stuff?"
He's like, who was the little boy from the Flintstones?
Who? Bam Bam?
Bam Bam.
Yeah, he's Bam Bam.
That's what Cooper reminds me of.
Yeah, that and Gronkowski.
And Gronkowski.
Yeah, and Gronkowski. So, you know, so speaking of like, you know, the what we were talking about with the wedding of the pants. So our next episode which we're really excited about, is we want to talk about the pelvic floor. And I know that people are like, oh my God, first of all, what is your pelvic floor? And 2, like, why do we want to talk about this? And I think, you guys, it's really interesting. It's really important because as I have entered into the physical therapy world, I found this whole new thing that I have, but I didn't know anything about it. And I, you know, had children, and I didn't know that it can have dysfunction. And as men, it affects men and it affects women. It's not just a women's thing. And it's really important as an athlete and also as someone who's aging that we talk about this. And so we have a guest. Our first guest is coming on next week, or next episode, to really kind of like, you know, talk about this. And it's not just, you know, we're not just going to talk about the vagina. Like we're going to talk about actually, this is muscular, skeletal, you know, dysfunction, you know, which really affects so many people. And we really want to kind of talk about how important it is, again, as athletes, as aging people, as, you know, balance. It affects so much of your life.
I think this is a great topic to get into because, you know, I don't know a lot about it, but I experience it.
You have one
daily, and I have a vagina,
pelvic floor,
pelvic floor. And I think it's great that you're not excluding men, because I think a lot of the misconception is that this is purely a female thing, and it's not. And I personally have seen it myself because I work in the operating room, and so one of the things I notice when people wake up, you know, usually they have a breathing tube in and they cough. Almost everyone pees their pants, and they're incontinent, and it's men and it's women, and it's a problem. And it's one of the things that I'm scared to have anesthesia with my friends, because I'm like, I'm going to pee all over the place.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool, because I think it's becoming really an interesting topic. Like I've seen it actually recently. There's someone on Instagram that's really big in the fitness world, and they posted something about the pelvic floor, and like a webinar about like the pelvic floor, and again, we're not talking about the vagina, and we're not talking about like, but it's the pelvic floor. We're talking about the muscles of the pelvic floor. So again, this is muscular dysfunction, and this affects your bladder, it affects your prostate, it affects, like, you know, all of the parts that are in that pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor holds up all of your organs that basically support your body. And if there's dysfunction in that, like, you have a problem.
Right.
So, and that's what we want to talk about. And like, you know, and I just have been on this mission to, like, it's an education piece. Like we're going to have an education episode, and our guest has a really great story about it. You know, as a young female, she's got a great story about it. So I can't wait to share it with you.
I'm excited to hear about it, because I mean, I don't know what your experience is, but I know for me, you know, if I'm going to do a workout like 18.3, I had to take a whole bunch of ridiculous steps to try to prevent myself from peeing my pants.
Yeah.
I couldn't drink coffee, because as soon as I drink coffee, that's it.
Yeah.